Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, I'm doing this Q&A a little bit earlier than normal. I'm doing it on the Tuesday afternoon because tomorrow morning early I'm flying to go over to America. I'm not going to have time to do it later in the week. So if anybody's left me a question on the latest Q&A in the next few, in sort of Wednesday onwards, there's a good chance I haven't answered it. I'm really sorry, but if you drop it to the video, this video, I'll get to it next week. Absolutely not a problem. Anyway, yeah, so first of all, we've got a stack of questions. I'm looking at it. There's a ton of comments, which is really good. So I'm going to get straight into it, and let's go with this week's Q&A. So the first question is from Seth Howard, and Seth has some really nice things to say about me, which is really nice. You were wondering if I had recommendations for a marked deck. I haven't used one in years, but saw it perform with some killer routines. Using one, I'm considering revisiting it. Yeah, I mean, the marked deck I always use is the Night Flight deck by Steve Della. Steve's Night Flight deck is brilliant. For years, I could not use a marked deck because I couldn't see the marks. My eyes are terrible, like literally awful. And I just couldn't see the marks in any marked deck. Night Flight, I can see them very, very easily. The plastic cards are great because they'll last you absolutely forever. But the red cards, the cardboard cards, are really good as well. And I was so excited when Steve had a whole section on the Netrix for Night Flight routines. It's an amazing deck. I've had a look recently at the new Penguin cards. They've brought out some marked cards as well that are stacked in mnemonica, and they come with a couple of cribs, which are really nice as well. I thought those handled very well. They're very much like the Penguin Bicycle Elite, which I use an awful lot. So yeah, I mean, but to be honest, whenever I do any marked deck stuff, it's always a Night Flight deck that I tend to use. So yeah, and if you haven't already done so, go check out, you say that you're on the Netrix, go and check out the Night Flight section by Steve Della, because there's some really cool stuff with the marked deck that you can do in that section. Next question is from Magic Elliott. He's asked a few questions. This is the first one. Have you ever done a gig where you've been performing for an hour or so and then think to yourself, I really should do some tricks that weren't invented by Gary Jones? I've had it before. Absolutely 100%. I mean, Gary is incredible. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's one of my favorite magicians. One of the nice things about Gary is he's so nice. He's so kind. He will help anybody. And he's one of those rare breed of magicians that are very entertaining, but also their magic is incredibly strong. The stuff that he does, yeah, he does so well. So yeah, I do a lot of Gary Jones stuff. I don't think I've ever got to a gig where I go, I should be doing something else other than Gary Jones. But to be honest, if I sat down and thought about it, I probably have been in that situation more often than I'm willing to admit. And Ryland has definitely found himself in that situation. So yeah, 100%. Gary Jones is brilliant. We all love Gary Jones right here at Magic TV. So the next question is from Mr. ZE, and he says, hi Craig, I'm new to Cube Magic. I'm currently trying to learn the basics as they're taught in the Venom Cube project. I'm left-handed and trying to mirror the image of the moves in the tutorial does not seem to work. The cube gets messed up. It's a very frustrating learning experience. Any tips would be welcome. First of all, if you haven't already done so, I talk about this, please learn to solve the Rubik's Cube. Very, very important that you learn to solve the Rubik's Cube. I can't tell you how important that is when you mess things up. Just having, learning how to solve a cube and practicing it over and over again will just make your fingers go in the right positions when you're doing anything like Venom Cube. So you haven't said in here if you've learned to solve it or not, but please do. There's a thing on the Netrix called the Virtual the Virtual Magic Club, and it's basically a live Zoom session that we have every week, and then we record the sessions and put them into people's accounts. And this week it was what was it? Yeah, this week it was cubes, and we were doing a whole bunch of cube stuff, and I taught my shake solve and my timing force, and I was just answering people's questions about Rubik's Cube magic. They meant to go an hour, it went almost 2 hours, and it was a really fun session actually. And we talked about being left-handed because Ryland is actually left-handed and he does a lot of cube stuff, and he found it frustrating as well. I mean, there's not really any tips I can give you other than trying to reverse it in your mind. I know how difficult that is, because when I'm trying to learn something from Kyle Purnell, I'm currently in the middle of learning his Rainbow Road, which is a really cool packet trick. And he's left-handed, and I'm trying to change it all around. It's very, very difficult. It's just something that you kind of have to get your head around whenever you're practicing any type of magic. I mean, the Venom Cube isn't that hard. I mean, just go. I always find that if I'm struggling, go through the instructions again. I remember the first time I learned the Venom Cube, I did it wrong. I was doing it wrong, and I couldn't understand why. And I went back and watched the tutorial again, and it turned out that I just wasn't doing it correctly. So yeah, I mean, the big piece of advice I can give you is just try and get it around in your head, and just practice. You know, with cubes especially, the more you practice, the better you get at it. So I can't really give you any more advice, but hopefully that helps. Okay, so the next question is from Kieran Himes, and Kieran says, thanks Greg, great stuff as ever. I have recently bought a great PK ring, but looking for a good set of effects to string together as part of an EDC. Would you consider doing a special on your favourite PK ring effects, please? Yeah, you know, I knew Jim Trainer very well, who was David Penn's business partner in World Magic Shop before he passed away, and John Farr stepped in and started running World Magic Shop with David Penn. And Jim was the inventor of the PK ring. So he actually invented the PK ring. Really, really clever guy. He had a magnet business, and yeah, invented the PK ring. I don't really do much with PK rings. I have seen PK ring effects that I like, and I could definitely do a special on PK rings. But I don't really use PK rings. I don't know if you notice, I'm married. I've got a wedding ring, but I don't actually hardly ever wear my wedding ring unless I'm going out on some sort of date night or something like that. I don't wear my wedding ring, and Sarah's amazing that she lets me not wear it. And the reason I don't wear it is I do a lot of coin magic, right? And I tend to find that the ring is very restrictive. So if I'm doing something like a spellbound and it drops onto the ring, they get a clink. So for that reason, I just don't wear rings. It's just something that I've always avoided, and I don't think I ever will. To be honest, I don't think I ever will wear rings. However, I do know several PK ring effects, and not that I perform myself, but I've seen other people perform, and you know, I've read them over time. So I could do a special on it. I mean, one thing that you might want to consider, a couple of things you might want to consider. Prohibition by Charlie Justice. If you're not aware of that, it's a cap in a bottle. So the whole idea is that you borrow a bottle, and you take the cap and you bend it, and you drop the cap inside the bottle. You then tip it out, and you visibly put it through the bottom of the bottle. It looks great. And it's called Prohibition, Charlie Justice. And it uses a gimmick, a very specific gimmick. However, you can do that same routine with a PK ring. So that's something worth looking at. The other thing is, with a little bit of thought, you can do a chop cup routine with a PK ring. A little bit like chop. Now, I don't do that because obviously I do chop, but you can borrow a cup and you can have a PK ring on. And a couple of the moves that you might consider using with chop, not all of them, there's a lot of moves, because obviously with chop, the pen is free. So you can have moves like where you're dropping the pen in the cup and you drop the ball in the cup and you take the pen out and the ball comes with you and stuff. But, you know, if you like a chop cup routine, you can have a PK ring and do chop cup routines. And that's a fun thing to practice with. Absolutely, 100%. Also, if you've got a magnetic coin, you can do a really clean vanish with a magnetic coin. So say, for example, let's say you've got, okay, let me give you an example. You've got a deck of cards. Have I got a deck of cards? Don't think I have. This is not a regular deck of cards. No, we don't want people to see that. I don't think I've got a deck of cards. Is this a deck of cards? There's so much stuff going on in this office. This looks like a deck of cards. So let's say that you've got a deck of cards, right? And you have a card. Have I got a couple of coins? Yes, there we go. So let's say that you have, that's a horrible $half. Okay, so let's say you've got a deck of cards and you've got a coin here that matches a magnetic coin. What you can do is you can have that coin in classic palm, and you can just riffle down the deck and have them say stop. Where they say stop, you can lift up there and show them that card. They could even put their initials on it. While you're showing them the card, drop this down into fingertip rest, and you can take the deck onto this coin and load it inside. Now, they're not going to see that coin in the deck. If you have the deck this way, they're not going to see it. The gap's your side, not on their side. So what you can then do is you can take your magnetic coin, put it on top of the deck, and then using your PK ring, you can just go show your hand empty and just go boom, and what will happen is that will stick to the PK ring, and it'll look like the coin has just gone into the deck, and then you can show this hand empty, and as you show this hand empty, you can lift up and show that this coin has landed right next to their card. Now, if you're going to do that, obviously you're holding out a PK ring. You're holding out a coin on your PK ring, but if you have a magnet in your back pocket that's stronger than the magnet in your PK ring, you can use the misdirection of cutting the deck to ditch the coin, as long as the magnet's stronger. So going back to what we just talked about, you would have the coin in finger palm or classic palm or whatever, riffle down, show them the card, load the coin into the deck, so it's now loaded. You've got it there. The gap's at this end, so it's not at your side, so you don't see anything. The magnetic coin goes on top of the deck, and then you just come over with the PK ring, you tap, it looks like it disappears, and then you show this hand empty, and it's a bit like a pendulum. This hand's going to go to pick up the deck, and you'll always pick up at the coin because there's a natural break in the deck. And this hand drops down to the side, touches your back pocket, and because the magnet in your back pocket is stronger than the magnet in the PK ring, what will happen is it'll get ditched onto the PK ring. It'll get ditched onto the magnet in your back pocket. So, but everyone's attention is focused here because that's where you're cutting, and then you can show that coin in the deck, right? And you can even do it from the top. So, for example, instead of loading it into the middle, you could have a card taken out. So again, the coin's in classic palm. You can have a card taken out, and this is a little bit like Strange Exchange, right? So you could have the coin loaded underneath the card, and you can have that on top here, okay? And then what you can do is you can just put the magnetic coin here and hit down. When you hit down, it'll look like it disappears, and it goes underneath that card. So using it in conjunction with magnetic coins, there's an awful lot you can do. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, in answer to your question, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that should give you a head start on ideas with it. But yeah, I mean, I'll do a special on it for you, no problem. There's a lot of other stuff you can do. So I'll go through some of that. I've got a few PK rings, actually. So yeah, leave it with me. Okay, so the next question is from Brian Binns, and Brian says, question, if you had to pick one business card trick to present your card, what would you pick? I don't perform a lot of magic, but I do give out my card every day and would like a memorable way of doing it. Well, there's a couple of different ways of doing that. If you want just a really quick visual way of giving out a business card, then there's an app that you can get, which is really cool. And it looks like you're printing a business card inside your phone. You basically scan your business card in. And the idea is that you take your phone out of your case, or you don't have to. You can have the phone in there. There's lots of different handlings, but the bottom line is you load your business card underneath the phone. Now, it could be that you've got the business card in the case, and you take the phone out and the card's there, so it just goes along for the ride. It could be that you've got a card in your pocket and you cop it out and you just put it doesn't really matter. The whole point is your business card's under there, and it looks, you've got a fake home screen, so it looks like you've got a printer on there, right? And so you click print, and you just hear a kind of printing noise, and it goes, and it prints an exact copy of your business card, and you can slide it around on the phone, and it looks really good. And then you just have to pinch that and pull it forward along with the business card underneath, and it looks like the business card's printed and it's come out the phone, and you just give it them. That's a really cool way. Now, Damien Sir was the person who put that together, and I did an interview with him on the channel. So if you just type in Damien Sir, Talk Magic interview, Magic TV, whatever, it'll come up, and he talks about that app. So if you want to know more about it, you can go check that app out. I'll probably do it on a Magic Live at some point. I've never actually done it on a Magic Live. I'll probably do that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's it's called Card Now, I believe. Might be wrong, but I think it's called Card Now. It's a really cool way to produce a business card. The other way that I think is a really cool way and this is if you're in the context of a gig and you've just done maybe a card trick. And I used to do this all the time in restaurants. I used to finish my set with this. I haven't done this in years, but this was a really fun thing. What I did, let's see if I remember this. I would take, that's it. Right, okay. So I'd have the two jokers, right? And what I would do is I would spray mount one of the backs of one of the jokers. Now, if you don't know what spray mount is, it's a repositionable adhesive spray from 3M. It's not roughing fluid, because with roughing fluid you can separate it easily. With spray mount, you spray it on the back of the card, and when it sticks to the card, it'll stick. Like, you can throw the two cards on the table, it'll look like one card. You can still separate it though, but you're not going to separate it with this. What I would do is I would have the jokers on the top of the deck. And the top one would be the one that's got the spray mount on the back. So what I'd do is I'd put the box to one side and I'd say, I'm going to show you a trick with 2 cards. We don't need the jokers. And I'd put the jokers to one side, right? So the spray mount would be on the back, on the top joker, so nothing's getting stuck to it, right? I'd then do whatever card routine that I want to do. And I'd finish off by doing something with a signed card. Let's say it's an ambitious card or whatever. They would sign the card and it'd end up with them having the card. Now, they think that's the end of the routine. There's a natural offbeat, blah, 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 blah. And what I would do at that point is I would so I'd put the deck back in the box and I'd put the deck in my pocket. And as I do, I would cop that's what I'd do. I'd cop the business card off. So I'd have the business card in a cop position, right? And then I'd say, hey, I'd like to give you my card as a souvenir. Would you like that? And they'd say, yeah. And I'd pick up the 2 jokers and load them onto the copped card. And then what I'd do is I'd hold everything together in biddle grip and I'd pull off the spray mounted card. And I'd say, can you pass me your signed card, please? So they pass me the signed card. I show it and I put it on top of the spray mounted joker. And then I put the other joker on top, but the business card is going on top of there. I'd square everything up and I'd put it in their hand. And I'd say, right, I'm going to turn your signed card into my business card. So they're holding on to what they think are 2 jokers with their signed card in between. In reality, the signed card is stuck to the joker. It's got the business card in between. So you can get them to lift up their hands and spread out, and you can show that the card's turned into a business card. Or you can reach into their hand, take out the joker, take out the other joker, and they still feel the card in between their hands. And then when they open up their hand, it's changed into your business card. So that's nice, but it's a little bit too laboured to do as hey, have you got a business card? Yeah, let me get a pack of cards out, sign a card. But at the end of a card routine, it's really nice. It's a really nice way of doing it. Outside of that, if you do a simple back palm, don't underestimate the simple back palm. If somebody asks for a business card and you just back palm it, and especially if you can do a front to back palm, so if you can kind of say, yeah, look, right there, and give it them, don't underestimate that. That's really strong. The other thing that you can do, and I learned this off a DVD with a playing card years ago, like we're talking about 15 or so years ago, is if somebody asks for a business card, they did it on a playing card, but I remember doing this with a business card for a while. If you've got you get them to hold their hands out like this. You say, hold your hands out. I'm going to hold my hands palm up. And as I'm talking, hey, got a business card? Yeah, no problem. So as I'm talking, I've got a card. I've palmed a card and I move it into back palm. So I'm like, yeah. Can you hold your hands out like this, but palm down. And I turn that one over. And they do. And I say, put your hands on top of mine. And as their hands cover mine, I just bring that back into front palm. Now, they can't feel that's a card there. From their point of view, my hands were empty. They put their hands down onto your hands, and the hands still appeared empty. And I say, you want a business card? Yeah, lift up your hands. And now this business card has just appeared in between their hands that they didn't feel before, and you give it out to them. Also a really nice way to do it. I mean, that's different to business card effects, but I don't think from reading your question, you don't want business card effects. You want a way of presenting your business card, right? And that's what you're looking for here. So that's what I'd suggest. One of those would work really well. But if I've read your question wrong, I apologize. If you're wanting business card effects, let me know. I did do a hidden gems a couple of episodes ago on one of my favorite business card effects when I'm handing out a business card, which is like an anniversary waltz. It's a Jay Sankey thing, and it's an anniversary waltz with your initials and their initials. That's perfect for networking events, because with networking events you've got a little bit more time and it's a nice routine. It's like, hey, I've got a stack of business cards here, you sign that one, I sign that one, we're going to put them together in your hands. Now I'm hoping to do business with you in the future. If you need a magician, I'd hope you give me a call. So to represent that, I'm going to make my initials jump onto your business card and you give it out to them. And one final thing, if you're in the Netrix and you go onto and you're on the silver level, there's this thing called the Virtual Business Club, Virtual Magic Club, and we meet every week and it gets recorded. So if you subscribe to the Netrix, it's all in there. You can go look at the previous episodes. And there's one on business cards. We did an entire thing just on business cards, which was super fun. And I went through how to do my BCM routine. I went through how to do a whole bunch of different routines with business cards. So that's something worth looking at as well. Hope that helps. Okay, so the next question is by Nick Penny. And Nick says, which should I choose, a card to wallet or Jeff Kahler's TKO 2.0? Also Sleeve Star, David J, and wow, there's a name, and Richard Sanders ring on shoelace. I'm highly considering getting and wearing TKO and Sleeve Star and ring on shoelace at the same time. Wow, what's your opinion? You got some old tricks there, man. So first of all, I'd absolutely have a card to wallet. Yeah, I use card to wallet almost as much as I use anything else. Definitely 100% get a card to wallet. Sleeve Star, I mean, we're going back now. I was on the DVD for Sleeve Star. David J was the only person I ever saw that could do that well. No, I'm telling a lie. Tom Crosby did it really well as well. I remember Tom Crosby getting it and showing it to me and doing it really well. But I saw so many people who bought it and just couldn't do it because it's a very difficult thing to do. You're basically having to sleeve a coin up your sleeve, across the chest, down the other sleeve. It's not easy, right? And also, although it was clever and as magicians we watch it and we go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. The bottom line with the Sleeve Star thing is that you can do the same thing with very minimal sleight of hand, and it restricts you to wearing a jacket. So I wouldn't bother with Sleeve Star, to be honest. It's not something that I would really have, you know, in hindsight, having now, you know, learned more about magic and become more experienced, I've kind of thought, nah, Sleeve Star's not for me. Now, Ring on Shoelace is amazing. And if you saw Aidan McCann, who's one of my favorite magicians, go on BGT, he did Ring on Shoelace. He did Interlace in his audition. The thing that you need to understand with Interlace, and Harry Robson is somebody who does Interlace brilliantly. The problem with Interlace is you have to wear a gimmicked pair of trousers, so it's not like you talk about paper, you talk about like arts and craft moments, and in the old days on the Wizard Product Review we called them a paper crane moment. This is like a paper crane moment times 20. Because you have to go and you have to like gimmick your trousers and it's going to affect the pocket in which the gimmick is built into. And I stopped doing it when I had a problem. Now, it was my fault. Basically, I was doing Interlace and everything went fine for the first couple of months. And then I went to do it and the ring just hit my shoe and rolled off in the middle of a busy corporate event. And I was like, oh my God, I've just borrowed this ring and it's just gone flying off into the middle of God knows where. And I had to go scrambling on the floor for it. It's a really funny story, I'll tell you one day. But the point is, that put me off ever doing it again. Now, that was my fault. That wasn't anything to do with the gimmick. That was my fault. But this was a long time ago when I was less experienced. And I was thinking, there's so much that I'm going to have to think of. There's so much I'm going to have to prepare. There's so much, I could easily make that mistake again. So I kind of parked it. It's a great trick. But be aware that, you know, if you miss, it could potentially be a big problem. And TKO 2.0 is great. It's for me, the TKO 2.0 is a little bit like a Top It. Not that it's the same thing, it's not. But just in so far as it's only good if you've got a purpose for it. So if you've got a reason for using a Top It or a TKO, which is basically a device to make something vanish, the Top It is built into the jacket, for the TKO is built into the shirt. If you've got something that you have a use for it, then that's great. But if you haven't got a use for it, then there's no point. Like somebody like David Penn, for example, I see him doing the Top It, and every time I see him doing the Top It, it makes me want to buy a Top It because he does it so well. And I've played with the Top It for years. I've played with the TKO for years, but I don't like really having my clothing restricted. Depending on the gig, a lot of the time I wear a black t-shirt and a suit jacket, and you know that wouldn't work with TKO. And I like to take my jacket off, or I like to roll up my sleeves. That makes Sleeve Star and other things really not work. So it's totally up to you. I wouldn't bother with Sleeve Star at all. The Sanders Ring on Shoelace is great, but be aware of the limitations. Definitely have a card to wallet, and TKO 2 is good as long as you have a use for it. As long as you have something that you know you want to have that moment for. Okay, so the next question is Rick Sticks 9, and he's got very nice things to say. So thank you very much. So please don't let the haters get to you. Yeah, okay, really appreciate that, man. Quick question. My specialty is card magic, but I'm looking to expand into coins and other walk-around magic. I think Chop will be perfect for my part-time restaurant job, performing at each of my tables. Is there anything else you could suggest? Thank you, Craig. Yeah, I mean, anything really. I mean, Chop is great, especially if you're working a restaurant, but other stuff that you can do that's not cards. I'm a big advocate of Rubik's Cube magic. I'm a big advocate of coin magic. The thing with coin magic, and one of the reasons I love it so much, is it really does establish credibility. You know, you walk over to a group of people and you go pick a card. well, they're going to think, oh, I've seen that one before. But if you pull a coin out of the air or something like that, they're not going to have seen that before. If you've not really done much coin magic before, I mean, there's a couple of different options. The thing that I would do is go onto Alakazam and get the download of my Alakazam Coin Magic Academy, the first one, because that was designed for beginners to coin magic, and I presented a whole stack of routines that you can do as a beginner in coin magic that will hopefully kind of make you make you more confident being a coin magician. Coins are definitely a thing that would work 100%. But I mean, anything. It has to be something that speaks to you. So it might be thread work, it might be Rubik's Cubes, it might be coins. It might be, I know some people that just do a coin and bottle and they do it absolutely brilliantly. But I would vary up the card magic, or at least if you're not going to vary up the card magic, vary up how it looks. So it's not just all stuff with a regular deck. Bring out a blank deck, do something with a blank deck, like Greg Wilson's Point Blank, or my Quantum deck, or something like that. Throw other stuff in, absolutely 100%. But yeah, in terms of coin magic, I get my Alakazam Academy, or failing that, anything by Michael Rubenstein and the New York Coin Guys. I know I keep suggesting that because it's brilliant. And the Metal series by Eric Jones is good. And if you can get onto anything by Justin Miller, that's also good as well. Justin, for my money, is one of the best coin magicians in the galaxy. Like, you want to jump on anything Justin does. And if you haven't, it's still available, I think, from Illusionist. Go check out Silver Dream. It's what put Justin on the map, and it's an incredible coin routine that is really practical. Okay, so the next question is from Nico, who also has very nice stuff to say. Thank you, Nico. So let me ask a question. Okay, I'm going to skip the other stuff because it's people can read it and it's very long, and it's just about this channel and how much you like it. So let me ask you a question. Why do you insist on people learning a Mem Deck? Please stop it. It's too powerful. I don't want people to know. I will only insist with good friends. I literally changed a friend's way of thinking about card magic by having memorized the stack. Absolutely, man. I'm really sorry that I'm trying to make it more approachable to people. That's kind of my thing. That's what I like doing. I like taking stuff. The Visible Project was another example, and the Stebbins Project. I like taking existing stuff and just seeing what else you can do with it, so that you kind of think creatively and you think out of the box a little bit. That's what I like to do. That's my style of creativity. Now, that's not for everybody, and that's absolutely fine, but I like doing that. And the memorized deck is a perfect example, because the Mem Deck is amazing, and it's capable. It's you can do so much stuff with the Mem Deck that you can't do with anything else. I've said before openly on this channel, it takes every pick a card trick and turns it into a name a card trick. So yeah, for sure, I love Mem Deck Magic. And if the world was in a place where more magicians did Mem Deck stuff, I think we'd be in a much better place, to be perfectly honest, which is the whole point of me releasing Forecast. But that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean it's fact. But yeah, thanks very much for the kind words. I totally agree with you. Do what Nico says and learn a memorized deck. It doesn't have to be Forecast. You can do whatever you want to, but yeah, go out and memorize a deck of cards. So the next question is Vladimir's Weiss, and Vladimir's Weiss says, what are your thoughts on instant stooging? And it's a really great question, to be honest, Vladimir. I think that instant stooging is great as long as it's done in the right time, the right place, the right context. So for example, I'll give you a couple of times that I actually use instant stooging. One is on a routine that I do called Empowerment. Now it's a coin routine, and it's called Empowerment because you empower the spectators to do the magic. So they're the ones that are making the coins vanish one at a time, in essence, right? So they're doing the coin vanish. The final coin, they hold on to it, they feel it disappear. The other person opens up their hand and the 4 coins have appeared over there, and the spectator's done everything. Now, from a methodology point of view, the first 3 phases are done with sleight of hand and gimmicks, but the final phase is instant stooging, because what I do is I just vanish the coin and I put nothing in their hand. But the reason it works is because the whole presentation is about them being the star of the show. I'm going to make you the star of the show. You're going to look like $1 million, okay? I promise you I'm going to make you look amazing. This is going to be so awesome. I kind of just go down this route of making them look like $1 million, and they can see that through the routine. I make them look like $1 million. And then when I do the final coin, I look at them in the eye and I say, now, if you're going to be a magician, you've got to be a bit sneaky sometimes and maybe tell a little white lie. Are you okay with that? And they say, yeah. And I go, brilliant, hold on to this coin. And I look at them in the eyes and I smile, and they know I'm wanting them to look good. And everybody else, it just looks like I'm chatting to them. But then they make that coin vanish. And you know, I've done that thousands of times, and I have so many people coming back to me later saying, oh, I've not told anyone. They all want to know how it's done. I've not told anyone. Thank you very much. So that's an example, in my opinion, where instant stooging is done correctly and it's done right. Another example, that's actually, I was going to say Michael Murray's solution is another example, but it's not. That's more dual reality, because you're not stooging them at that point. Their perception of the trick is slightly different to the audience's perception of the trick, but it's still the same trick. So that's dual reality. That's not instant stooging. But yeah, so that's a great example. I think it's best when I've seen magicians that do an instant stooge thing where they're stooging the spectator for the whole routine. So that spectator knows how that whole thing is done. I prefer to use instant stooging when it's just one element of the routine. So for example, when it's just, and again in coin magic, the coin trick is a perfect example. The other three phases, they have no idea what's happening. The final phase they do, but when they look back, they're going to think, well, I don't know how I did the other three coins. This is absolutely amazing. So it's one small part. And even if they blurted out to everyone, yeah, the coin wasn't in my hand, it still wouldn't matter, because it doesn't explain how 98% of the routine is done. I think it's something that you have to do when you've got some experience performing, and when you've got some experience as a performer, that's when you can get away with stuff like that. But yeah, I think that instant stooging is a really viable technique, especially for close-up magicians. Most instant stooging is done on stage, but I think that done correctly, it can be a powerful tool in the arsenal of a close-up magician. Okay, so the next question is from Dararo66. And Dararo66 says, hey, Craig, I would like to know what your favorite triumph routine is. Good question. There's three. There's three, to be honest. The first is Rockish Triumph, which first got published on Slim, then changed the name of it to Triumph, and it went on to my Penguin Live that I've just released, which is a walk-around Triumph routine with a 4-card kicker ending where you make 4 cards appear at the end. It's based on an Ian Moran idea of making 4 cards appear at the end of a thing, but in a different way. And it's just a really fun routine to perform. It's designed to be done in a walk around situation. There's no table required. You can do it anytime, anywhere. It's very, very practical. The second is a routine called Rising Triumph, which is based on a Shiego Tiagi trick, and it's a regular deck of cards, and it's the concept of shuffling these cards face up into face down and having the selected card from an ungimmicked deck rise out the pack, and then when the ungimmicked card rises out the deck, everything's ungimmicked, by the way, the deck sorts itself out around the risen up card. That's really cool. You can learn that on the Netrix. And then finally, I've got a project coming out at some point with Alakazam, and there's a routine on there which is my absolute favorite trick to do for magicians. It's a magician fooler. And it's completely self-working, which is so fun. It's a thought of triumph. It's a thought of card. It's a triumph, but it's a thought of card. And genuinely, you give them the deck. You could be in a different room. They spread through. They look at a card. They shuffle the deck. They look at that. They just look at it. They put the cards down. You could come back into the room at that point. You do the shuffle face up into face down. It's just really cool. It's really cool. I lectured it at the Wessex Magic Convention. But it's coming out soon on a project with Alakazam. But those are my 3 favourite triumphs. I also like Assy Wins, obviously. Digital Dissolve, is it? Oh my gosh, my mind's gone blank. The one where it all happens in your phone. It's absolutely incredible. It's amazing. I mean, there's so many really good versions of Triumph. That's the thing. Paul Harris's Colour Stunner was great as well. I love it when there's something happens at the end of the Triumph. So it's not like, so for example, with the routine that I mentioned earlier, you're producing the 4 of a kind at the end of it. Another example is Colour Stunner by Paul Harris, where the deck changes colour at the end. There's so many different ways of achieving it, but you know, any routine like that where it's multi-layered and there's multiple climaxes, that's what she said, then that's kind of my favorite type of triumph. Okay, so the next question is from Magic Trades, and Magic Trade says, "Hey Craig, do you have any suggestions for a walk around wild coin routine? Side note, I've been reviewing your content in your beginner Alakazam Academy on Coin Magic, and I think finally my Coin Magic is starting to click." That's amazing, man. That's really great to hear. Any suggestions for a walk around wild coin routine? Yeah, I've got one on the Netrix actually, which is really cool. It's just a really cool routine. It's a multi-phase routine, but there's 2 phases where coins change from silver coins to Chinese coins, and it's ungimmicked as well. Really, really cool. The way to do a walk around wild coin routine is to adapt the David Roth routine, the classic David Roth routine with the cup. But instead of using a cup, use a like a purse, but one of those purses that remain open, right? So you can have somebody hold their hand out, and you can have somebody else hold the 4 coins, and you can take the first coin, do the vanish, and drop it in there, and then you can take the second coin and do it again, and the third coin and do it again, and the fourth coin and do it again. So that's a really cool way of doing it. Lloyd Barnes has got something coming out at some point soon, which is a coin routine. Well, it's not a coin routine, it's a coin gimmick, which allows you to do some very, very cool wild coins type stuff. I can't say any more. I'm not allowed to say any more. Lloyd would break my fingers. However, he has got something coming out soon, and I've been working on routines for him with this, and there's a lot you can do with it. So it's yeah, it's really cool. Well worth picking up when it comes out. But outside of that, look into the David Roth thing. You can get it on all the David Roth downloads. It's 4 coins in a cup, and basically you've got 1 copper coin, and you're doing the vanish, and you're basically just throwing the silver coin in. If you do that with like a purse that remains open, then you can basically do that same thing. Those are the easiest ways to do it. And the other way, I mean, if you want to talk about one more way, is to use a flipper coin in a shell, and do the old Josh J idea or Troy Hooser idea of having a purse and having the shell and the flipper coin open inside the purse. This is like the super easy way of doing it. So you have a purse, the flipper coin is open, and the shell is behind the flipper coin, so all of the faces of the coins are pointing out, and you have 3 coins in finger palm in your left hand. So what you do is you open up the purse, you take out the fan of 3 coins, and you just put the purse down, and what you do is you apparently take the first coin away, but really what you're doing is you're closing the flipper, and then you just push the first coin to your fingertips and give it to them. You then apparently take the second coin, but you nest the flipper into the shell, squeeze, and take the second coin and give it them. And then the final one, you can show the coin and just do a spellbound move and take the third coin and give it them. They're left with 3 coins, and you've just got 1 unit in finger palm. So as you go to pick up the purse and put it away, you're ditching the gimmick. So that's another thing that you can try as well. Okay, so the next question, I've had lots of comments on this Q&A, and one of the reasons I've had a lot of comments is because I talked on the last Q&A about about the comments on the review that was posted on Unbiased Magic Reviews, and you know, the review was the review. It was what it was, fair enough, and it was the comments that really got to me. You know, it's really horrible comments. I went through some of them. I've been back accidentally to look at something else, and I saw a few more of them, and they're not very nice. And there's a lot of people here that are saying, "Hey, we like you, we love you, blah 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 blah," and I really appreciate that. I really do. I'll explain why the comments get to me so much, because a lot of people have asked. It's because. And I think the thing that gets to me the most about the comments is people saying, "Oh, you know, you just do this stuff for the money. You just do the, you know, you're all about the money, or you're not about helping people. You're such a narcissist. You don't care about this sort of stuff." That's kind of what gets to me, because I kind of the reason I do this YouTube channel is to help people. That's why it was set up. That's why it was set up. I mean, think about the videos that I put up and the time it takes to film them and edit them. It's, you know, it's kind of like, okay, so back in the day, how can I explain this? So when I left the Magic community, and I've talked about this on the channel, there were various different elements. Rhino being born, Red was another example, but mainly it was getting a lot of hate from the Magic community. And I got a lot of hate a lot. Like, it was horrible. And looking back, I can see why. Like, I was just out of control on the Wizard product review. I really was. And I understand why people are upset with me, and I've tried to do what I can to make amends. Yeah, I mean, that's why I left. I couldn't handle it anymore. It was affecting my relationship with Sarah. It was affecting everything. It was horrible. I had to step away because I was just constantly focusing on the negative comments, and I think it's difficult not to, right? You know what I mean? I think it's very difficult not to, when people are just constantly saying stuff, you kind of start to believe it. So when people say, "Oh, you're horrible," you kind of, and I had to just step away. And it was the best thing I did. It was the best thing I did. Because I wasn't winning people over, and I wouldn't win people over, and it allowed me to take a step back, focus on other stuff, focus on my relationship with my wife, focus on my family, who were very young back then. Thea wasn't even born. Focus on my business, and so on and so forth. And I came back to the magic community, and I wanted to really kind of be a force for good, and not have people go, "Oh, I hate Craig." I wanted to be a person that could be, and that's why I do so many videos, because I think that by doing those videos, it helps. And it's what I've found recently is I feel the same way as I did at the moment when I was when I left the magic community before. But this time, back then, when I left before, I know why I left. I deserved it. I remember thinking to myself, I deserve this. I don't deserve to be in this community. I just really don't. I need to just step away. It's no good for the community, and it's no good for me. So that's why I stepped away. But this time it's different, because this time I kind of think to myself, I couldn't be doing any more. I literally couldn't be doing any more. And I read the comments, and I get sent the messages, and I see the comments on YouTube, and it's impossible for it not to hurt, right? It's impossible for it not to hurt, especially the ones that attack Ryland and me. It's easy to say, I just ignore them, and I do for the most part. I do try to ignore them. It's easy to ignore them. It's not easy to ignore them, right? It's just difficult. But as I say, this time, I don't feel exactly the same way, but I feel the same way as I did when I stepped away from the community in the first place. And the difference is this time, like I say, I couldn't be doing more. From my point of view, I couldn't be doing more to try and be a person that is doing the right thing. So, the content that I'm producing isn't like 2-minute shorts. It's like videos, the one that I put up last week on how to be more confident as a performer, and, the reviews. I couldn't be doing more than I'm doing right now. And it just feels that no matter what I do, it's just not enough. And yeah, I see the great comments, and there's so many great comments. There really are. There's so many people that say so many really nice things. And that's wonderful. And that's great. And I know it's a small percentage of people, but they're quite vocal. And I try my best. I try my hardest, and I can't do any more. I am literally so busy and so tired all of the time, and I just can't do anything else. I can't do any more than what I'm doing right now. And if what I'm doing right now isn't enough, then nothing will be enough. And one thing that I've learned as a person is knowing when to say, right, okay, well, enough is enough. It's obviously that I can't impact things anymore. And then I have to look at the flip side, and I go, well, I really enjoy making these videos, and I really feel like I'm making a difference. And I read the comments, and there's just so many comments on last week's Q&A. But to anybody that's asked and left really nice comments, why why I get upset. You know, I see so many people, don't listen to them. And it's easy to do, but it's kind of like, I don't know, I've got that sort of personality where I try to help people. And I know that someone's going to go on there and say, no, you don't. No, you don't. Like I said last week, I can't win. Can't win with this sort of stuff. I try my best. I'm trying my absolute best, and I hear it all the time. Craig's like Marmite. Why am I like why am I? Well, hang on. So the expression for those people that don't live in the UK, Marmite. If you say something like Marmite, you either love it or hate it. You haven't got a middle opinion. You either love it or hate it. What have I done in the last 2 years to make me hate it? What have I done? Like every time I go on Facebook, it's like, oh, you know, Craig's an idiot because he said that like Lux is trick of the decade. That's my opinion. But I'm being called an idiot for giving my opinion. Oh, Craig, we hate Craig. Why do we hate Craig? We hate him because of this and this and this, and he's a narcissist and this. And it's like, I don't know. I try my best, and I try every single day to just look at the positive comments. But yeah. So and there's a couple of other people that have posted saying, why do you delete comments off your YouTube channel? And we rarely delete comments. Rarely. But it can happen. We can delete comments and we can ban people. My team have done it without my knowledge. And I don't think I've ever banned anybody, but I've deleted a couple of comments. And the reason's really simple. I want this to be as much of a positive place as possible, so that magicians can learn and improve and get better and so on and so forth. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be honest about products that I don't like. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to do honest trailers, but I want it to be positive. The worst thing I ever did, looking back, the worst thing I ever did was do the rants on this channel. And I know some people go, oh, I really enjoyed the rants, and that's really cool. I'm glad you did. And they are never coming back. In fact, I feel really annoyed with myself that I went to town on Luke Dancy. The rants are never coming back on this channel. They're never, ever, ever coming back. I want it to be a positive place, and comments are being deleted when somebody has said something negative about somebody else. I mean, really negative. I mean, you know, saying, oh, this person's product is terrible. Okay, whatever, that's fine. That's your opinion, whatever. But insulting people, and not just me, but other people. I don't want you on this YouTube channel. This is my house, and I'm not going to have negativity like that. So if you've got banned, I'm sorry. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is it was probably because you were just being an arsehole. And everyone's an arsehole at one point or another. Hell, I've been an arsehole enough times, but that's probably the reason. And my team would have banned you without even discussing it with me, because I just don't want negativity. But in terms of the review, so in terms of the review, so I've had a few people ask the question, but the person who puts it the best is a guy called Bruce Littleboy. Oh, what the heck is going on here?
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, there you go. There we go. Don't know what went on there. So Bruce Littleboy was the person who was asking the question. Let me see if I can find it here. Sorry, because I've just come off. Bear with me, because this is a question that's been asked a few times. Let me see if I can find it. I accidentally had deleted the window I was on. Sorry about this. Bruce Littleboy, here it goes. The response to unbiased magic reviews was dignified, but could you say what assumptions about your Penguin Live were misunderstood? P.S. I add that the review was measured and dignified too. By the way, reporting the strength of the audience feedback is a relevant counterpoint. So if your audience got it, why others didn't? What was the it? So I don't really want to discuss the review too much, because I just know that people are going to say that I attack people that leave reviews, which I really don't. You know, he's entitled to his opinion. You asked the question about the review. Okay, what was it? Unbiased magic reviews. I don't even know why I'm giving this guy airtime, to be honest. It's his opinion. So I was Oh wow, look at that. It's up to 1,400 views. It's almost double his normal videos. That tells you everything that you need to know. So there were there's a few things that he said about the lecture.
If you want to sell online,
there we go.
Make sure you
adverts. There's a few things he said about the lecture, and the first thing he said, and this is, look, I've been reviewing products for probably the best part of, well, I was one of the first product reviewers, with the Wizard Product Review. I've been reviewing products for a very, very long time, and I've made every mistake under the sun. I was completely out of control on the Wizard Product Review. I just was, I was just completely out of control. So I understand what it is, what needs to be said about reviewing a product or not reviewing a product. And I try very hard to not get upset and just deliver the facts when I review things these days. The first thing he said is that I'm not a very good performer. Now that's his opinion. The bottom line is, he's basing that on the performance that I gave at the Penguin Live. Ask anybody who was at that Penguin Live, they will tell you that they considered that to be one of the best shows they've had in that theatre. Like, I'm a performer to real people. Yeah, I use hack lines. I don't see a problem with using hack lines because it works for lay people. For me, it's all about entertaining people and engaging people. But here's the thing. Presentation style is subjective. And what I mean by that is there's some way, so it's like some people will go, oh, Craig's the most entertaining magician in the world. Some people say, oh, Craig's not the most entertaining person in the world. I really don't like his presentational style. And that's absolutely fine. But that really shouldn't come into the review. That really shouldn't come into the review because it should really be about the tricks. The bottom line is I presented them to a live audience, and you can see from that lecture that live audience absolutely loved it. Now, you can say that I'm not a very good performer and I use hack lines and everything, but I think that's making it personal. And I don't think that it should ever be made personal. I don't think a review should ever be made personal. I think it should be about the quality of the product. So I think that the first thing that he brought up was an issue. Now, throughout the review, he also talked about the originality of some routines. And and then in the comments, he added the problem with Harapan Ong. The thing is, so I went and replied to him very respectfully, and I said, thanks for the review. Appreciate all the time it's taken to put together. Sorry you're not keen on the lecture. It's not my intention to convince you the material is good or not. It works for me, doesn't mean it'll work for everyone. I just want to clear up what you talked about with the crediting and with the originality of the routines. And he talked about the pickpocketing routine. Somebody came up to him 2 months ago with the same idea, and I said, well, that was on my channel in 2017. He talked about my sponge bearing routine being based on a Sankey routine. They're different anyway, but mine was first lectured on 3 years before the Sankey routine. The cheek-to-cheek routine, which was, Harapin's also got a nearly identical routine in his book. I published mine in 2006, like almost a decade before his book came out. But even then, when I noticed that there was an issue, I immediately contacted Harapan and said, hey, this has come to my attention. I'm really sorry. What can we do about this? And I've sent him a copy of my lecture. The Invisible Cards Across, which he said was similar to something else, that was published back in 2007. So I talked about all of the different crediting things because he brought that, because I'm very careful about this sort of thing since Red. And I brought that to his attention, and then he replied and said, thanks for the explanation and clarification. Now, if it was me and I'd been making assumptions in a review that the person then took time to clear up, I would have pinned a post to the top of the comments as a bare minimum, saying, or at least pin that post to the top as a bare minimum, because he said, hey, this is an issue. Some people might just watch the review. They might not go down all the comments and say, hey, this is an issue. I think this is a problem from an originality point of view, this. If I said that those things were an issue from a particular creator, I would have at a bare minimum pinned their comment to the post when they cleared it up. But the comment he's got pinned to the top is from a guy called Elliot saying, I wonder if anyone's pointed out to Craig that Cheeky Bet is exactly the same in effect as an effect published in Harapan Ong's book Principle with just a different presentation. It's like, it's like, but then, like, he said, thanks for the clarification and explanation. But then he comes back on 4 days later, bearing in mind, I've been nothing but respectful about this review. You know, I've finished my post by saying, I'm not here to argue. I like the look of your channel. I've actually subscribed to your channel. I wish you well, and I hope that, you know, you continue doing reviews. And then he goes on and says, I think you've completely missed the point of my review. Let me clarify with a direct example. The card to box effect. It's a very minor rehandling of James Bound's Box Clever. It's exactly the same thing. The card goes under the box 2 times. The whole deck goes under the box. Then the card ends up in the box. You use some of the same pattern lines as Brown. The difference of having someone sign the card or look at the card is negligible. Instead of improving effect, you've watered down, and the worst part, you're paying money for it. You see this as a sorry you didn't like my lecture. No, it has nothing to do with liking something. It has everything to do with the offering, and if the magic is worthy, try looking at it from a different perspective, blah, 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 blah. You go, but hang on, you've made your point. You've put a video up there. I've said, thank you very much for the review. I've been really respectful. And now he's decided 4 days later, when the views had died down a little bit, by the way, on the video, he's come back and saying, he's reiterating the points and saying, well, you know, I can't believe that you're charging money for this. I can't believe that you're charging money, for this lecture, and this should be given away. You know, this shouldn't even be done. This lecture should have never even happened. It's not about liking it or not liking it, but a review is subjective. It's subjective. I get that you don't like it, and that's fine. But to say, you know, you said it here. You know, the worst part is you're paying money for it. People are paying money for it. You see this as, sorry you didn't like my lecture. It has nothing to do with liking something. It has everything to do with the offering and if the magic is worthy. But that's your opinion. And I know you made that opinion in the video. Why did you come back to me with that when I didn't say anything to you and I wasn't anything but respectful? Because here's the thing, that lecture that I did as that Penguin Live, that's the lecture that I did at Blackpool when I was invited to lecture at Blackpool that everybody raved about. Ask anybody who was at Blackpool. They loved the content. That's the same lecture that I did at the Magic Circle, and I got a standing ovation at the Magic Circle, which happens about 3 times a year. That's the same lecture that tons of people have commented on various different forums saying they love the lecture. So for you to say it's got nothing to do with sorry you don't like my lecture, it's got everything to do about whether the magic's worthy, it's not your decision to say whether the magic's worthy or not. It's your decision. It's your prerogative to say you didn't like it. That's fine. But that flies in the face of a lot of other people who did like the lecture. They really enjoyed it. Do you see what I mean? For somebody who brands themselves as unbiased magic reviews, it's coming across as a hell of really kind of biased, to be perfectly honest. And again, I know I'm going to have people saying, oh, Craig's I'm not attacking. I'm answering the question. So I don't even understand. Like, you went through each trick, and I'm not going to try and defend each individual trick. If I wanted to defend the tricks, I would have done so when I posted on his video. I didn't. Even when I answered the Q&A. I was like, hey, it's his thing. It's his prerogative to say what he wants. But now you're coming back and saying more comments. It's almost like you're trying to get a rise out of me. And I don't even understand why. I've never done anything to you. And if you can say, no, I've never done anything to you, but I've bought this terrible trick, that's fine. But again, that's your opinion. It's not the opinion of a lot of other people. But it is your opinion, and that's fine. But you went through every single trick, and it's like you're almost like looking for stuff to say about it that's negative. So first of all, you said that you didn't like the lecture because you had to scramble around and get other stuff. The lecture is all about taking stuff that's in your bottom drawer and what you can do with it and reinvigorating it and showing people other uses for it. So obviously the lecture is going to have lots of props in it that people have used before, because that's the whole point of the lecture. When Penguin said, what should we do the lecture on? I said, how about doing this? They loved the idea. That was the purpose of the lecture. You know, but all the little points that you made, like the invisible cards across, which, by the way, if you go look at, which is on Visible. So the invisible cards across is on the Visible project, which sold out at Murphy's. It's had nothing but great reviews, other than, I think, No, nothing but great reviews, I think. And you said that it's not worth going to the trouble because you've got to buy 2 invisible decks. Invisible decks are like £6. So you've got to pay £12 for 2 invisible decks, but then you've got a deck that you can use to do this cards across brilliantly. And then you pointed to a Darwin Ortiz cards across, but that's nothing like what I'm doing here. You know, I've had so many people saying, oh, the cards across is worth the price of the lecture alone. And it's absolutely got merit for 2 reasons. One, it's the perfect example of using an invisible deck in a completely different way, which was the point of the lecture. But 2, it is incredibly clean. By using roughing fluid in order to achieve this, and by using a crosscut force, it becomes self-working. It becomes self-working. So, yeah, it's almost like you're scrambling around for stuff. And, you know, you talk about how, the coin trick was quite good, but it uses a gaff that not many people have got. I talk on the lecture about how you can use a triad coin from Vanishing Ink, which is a lot cheaper. But just because there's a gimmick that people might have bought that other people haven't, am I not allowed to create a lecture about that? And you talk about the sponge routine and saying, oh, it's like a Jay Sankey thing. It's nothing like the Jay Sankey thing. And even if it was published first, 2 years before Jay Sankey. You know, the card in the box, I'm friends with James Brown. I've shown him my variation. And he likes it. The purpose of that was to eliminate key points in the routine that James did that worked for James but doesn't work for me. And that's the point of presenting magic in a lecture. You know, Daniel Chard put a card to box routine on that's very similar to the James Brown routine. If you want to, I can cite variations that came around before James Brown's routine. I don't even understand the point. I mean, James thinks it's great. I'd rather listen to him than listen to, you know, somebody who, you know, you're labouring that point. And it went on and on and on. And as I say, I'm not here to defend myself. I'm answering the question. The point of the lecture was to take, you know, you talked about, oh, this isn't ideal for close-up. Carrying a book around with you isn't ideal for close-up. Well, first of all, Celebrity Prestige is perfect for big tables. You can see tons of videos on my channel of me performing it at big tables. I just have it in my jacket pocket and I take it out and I do it, and it works really well for a big table. But I even said at the beginning that that's my opener in parlour. The situation I was performing in was in a theatre to a parlour audience. So I included that routine in there because it made sense to include that routine in there. It's, you know, you said that none of the material works in the real world. I could give you videos of every single one of these tricks being done in the real world. To say these tricks aren't practical for the real world isn't true. You know, I've been performing in the real world. I'm one of the busiest magicians in the UK. How often do you perform? Because I went through your YouTube channel and all I found was a few shorts of you performing to camera in a physician's coat. Like, there's a massive difference between performing theoretically or performing to camera or performing to friends and family and performing to a real audience where you're rolling your sleeves up and you have to get in. And that's when those hack lines work. As any working pro, and they will tell you, yes, in an ideal world, you do beautiful magic, but sometimes you've got to roll your sleeves up and you've got to get down into the trenches. It's what you've got to do. And that's why people like the material. That's why it got a standing ovation at the Magic Circle. But I haven't got a problem, you know, I haven't got a problem at all. You know, I do think you come across as biased. If I can give you one piece of advice as a reviewer, and this is somebody who's made all the mistakes in the book, and somebody who was one of the very first magic reviewers on YouTube, remember, you don't want to come across as biased. You don't want to come across as biased. And honestly, considering somebody is the unbiased magic reviews, you do come across as quite biased. You just do. Like, somebody went on there and made a post and you said, Quantum Deck screams magic deck and anyone who thinks it can be examined is to be laughed at. It's got performed on Ellen. Do you even own it? Have you even tried it? Because that's the other problem. You say that creators shouldn't review magic products. I don't think people should review magic products if they don't actually perform them to camera. Because if you don't perform it to camera, at least one of the routines, how do I know you've even tried this stuff out in the real world? You know, turning around and saying Quantum Deck screams magic deck, anyone who thinks it can be examined is to be laughed at. Like, it just comes across like you're being very, very negative about the situation. You make comments like that all of the time in your reviews. Like in the review, you've made lots and lots of comments. Let me see if I can find another one. Yeah, so some people asked about Netrix, and somebody who was actually in Netrix commented and said, "Oh, I think it's amazing. I've done so much with I've done so much, I've learned so much from Netrix." And you were like, "Oh, it looks like it's for the beginner." If I were you, I would, I'd go check out Ben Earl, and that's fine. But if you're gonna make that statement, go check out the Netrix. Contact me. I'll give you a free month. You can try it out, and then you can review it. But to make statements like that, you make statements like that based on what? Based on just watching the trailer? Everything you bring up the quantum deck, you say it's terrible. Somebody, my friend Nemid Fimix came on there and spoke about a few of the points, and you said there's no original material for the price that you're paying. You could show everyone a head-to-head video showing how poor this card in the box is compared to James Bramber's Box Clever. But I got James' permission, and he thinks it's actually a really good version, and he understands where I came from in putting my version out and why I was fixing certain elements with his version that I didn't like. I don't get your point. You came on here and you're making jokes about red. Like somebody went on there and was quite positive, saying Chris James Magic said you disagree with the review, and you go on there and said a rose is red, capital letters, and then you go check out how similar Cheeky Betty is to Harappan's effect. But then I covered that, and even Harappan came on the thread and talked about it, and you never rebutted that. But making jokes like about red, which I've talked about in depth, it just shows that you're kind of coming across as a bit biased. Like I was on the Magic Cafe, I'm reviewing Definitive soon by Chris Rawlins, and I was on the Magic Cafe and I was reading the Definitive thread, and you went on there and said, I would never use a gimmicked book. Why would you ever use a gimmicked book when there's so many better versions that you can use with regular books? Well, that's if you then review, does that mean that we can discredit every review you ever make about, if you review a product and it's a gimmicked book, does that mean we can completely discredit everything that you say? What, because somebody brings out a gimmicked book, it's not going to be very good? Like, you were quite firm about that, and I just don't understand it. I don't get it. You come across like you don't like me, and I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what I've done. I don't know what I've done. I don't know what I've done. But it's not like you've done one video and left it. You're commenting on there all the time. Now, I get it. You've been doing this for a long time. You got 3,000 subs. You realize that involving me has got you your massively best video ever. You look at your channel, right? You look at your channel and it's like, currently right now, my review is on 1.4K. You look at the previous one, 600 views, 600 views, 300 views, 300 views, 700 views. Oh, that one got 1,000 views. Well done. 700, 500, 600, 900, 400, 900, 600. But we're going back 2 months now, 3 months ago, and you're managing to pick up 500 views. I get that this is the most exciting thing that's happened to your channel, and by doing this on the Q&A, I'm basically in essence sending more traffic to your channel. But there's the other thing, people say, oh, Craig, deletes anything that's negative on his channel. He doesn't like people speaking negatively. I sent people to your channel. I actually said, I could have very easily not answered the question. Somebody asked a question about what I thought of your review. I could have very easily not answered it. Somebody else has asked a question about what I think about your review, and I've answered it. If I was hiding behind the negativity, I'd just not send people to your channel. Trust me, there is a reason why this is your most popular video. So look, if I can give you one piece of advice as a reviewer, it's don't make things personal. Try not to make things personal. Now, I've made those mistakes in the past. I have made those mistakes. And I try every single day not to. Now, I'm not perfect, but I try not to make things personal. I really got pissed off with myself when I got personal with Luke Dancy. But I try. But you are coming across as very biased, making jokes about red ripping into the Quantum Deck without even seeing it, ripping into Lux, because you know me and Lloyd do a podcast together without even seeing it, ripping into the Netrix on threads where people from the Netrix have said it's amazing, and you're like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, it's not very good. Just constantly labouring the same point over and over again. I put a very respectful post on your review, and I say thank you very much, I've subscribed, I really appreciate the review, I'm sorry you didn't like it. And 5 days later, when the views start dying down, you start coming back and going, well, what do you mean you don't like it? You need to carry on doing what you're doing, because I haven't watched many of your reviews, but I'm sure they're good. Carry on doing what you're doing, but seriously, you need to stop coming across as so biased. For a channel that calls themselves the unbiased Magic Review channel, you are coming across as very, very, very biased. Oh, there you go.
Don't lose yours when building an on.
So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Okay, guys, this is kind of an amendment to the Q&A. When I filmed the Q&A, it was in my office. It was in the afternoon, and I filmed the Q&A. Came home, put Rylan to bed, getting ready to leave to go to America tomorrow, and I watched the Q&A back. And I had to film this video. I was considering taking that last bit out. You know, the bit where I talked about the review, and I defended the review, and I was watching it, and I'm like, you're such a mopey git. And I think that the problem is, the last couple of weeks, I've been very mopey. I've been very down in the dumps. And I think that I came across that way on the Q&A last week. And I think I came across on the Q&A up until this point this week. And like I say, I considered taking it out. I considered just making it a half-an-hour Q&A. But instead, I'm just filming a little amendment to go at the end. Because here's the thing. I have spent my entire career just doing my own thing and not listening to haters and not listening to negativity. And you know what? The last couple of weeks, it's got to me, and I really shouldn't have let it get to me. I really shouldn't have let it get to me, and I did. And I'm an idiot that I let it get to me, and it shouldn't have. But here's the thing, I will not allow negative comments to affect my well-being, my mindset. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow negative comments. You can say what you want about me. You can call me a narcissist. You can call me an egomaniac. You can say that I'm the worst creator in the world. Absolutely fine. You can say all of those things. You can say absolutely anything you want to. All of the people in the comments to that review, you can say whatever the hell you want to. That's absolutely fine and dandy with me. Not a problem at all, because I have suddenly realized that I have achieved a hell of a lot this last year and a half. I have achieved a hell of a lot. And you know what made me realize it? Earlier on, I had a phone call from one of the gold members in the Netrix. And he said, hey, off the back of the information you gave me last week, I've booked 5 shows. And I'm like, that's amazing, man. Well done. And then I had another person who's on the silver level ring me up and say, beg me to be on the gold level, because they've incorporated some of the marketing stuff on the Netrix and it's really helped them. And now they want to take it to the next level. And I had somebody contact me by messenger saying how much they've improved as a magician and how they've actually found the courage to go out and perform for the first time. And you know what? All of those people that were ringing me up, as well as all of the comments on the Q&A from last week, it made me realize that I'm making a difference. I am making a difference for every single person that phones me like that, every single person that messages me. I'm making a difference. I'm not just running a review channel where I shit on products. Yeah, I do a review show, and yeah, I've shit on a few products, but you know what? I'm trying to do more than that. I'm trying to make a difference in this community. I'm not just saying I'm trying to do something, I'm actually doing it. You know, while everybody else was sitting around in COVID, just feeling sorry for themselves, I started setting up a YouTube channel that was doing 27 videos a week, that's now on over 11,000 subscribers in a year. That's what I've managed to achieve in the last year. While everyone else was doing nothing and feeling sorry for themselves, that's what I did. And you know what? You can go on a review show and you can say how shit I am as a performer. You can say I do hack lines. You can say that I've got no originality. You can say, I've heard it all before. Everything. Oh, Craig can't create to save his life. Craig can't do this. Craig can't do that. You know what? I don't care. Forget about all that mopey bullshit that I spewed earlier on this video. Forget about mopey Craig from last week. I have had enough. I have had enough from people telling me that I suck. Because you know what? I listen to those people, and I shouldn't do. I listen. I pay more attention to the people that tell me that I'm the worst creator on the planet than I do from the person that tells me that I've made a massive impact on their career. You know, for all of the people that say Craig's all about money, well, let me tell you something right now. I run the largest goddamn children's entertainment company in the UK. That entertainment company gives work to over 100 entertainers, literally all over the UK. I run another company called Slightly Unusual that gives work to entertainers all over the UK. I've sent people to Dubai, Australia, Spain, Japan, America. I've sent people all over the place. I've had contracts where I've got 40 magicians going out on the same night multiple times over the course of a month, and that happens very regularly. So if we're talking about giving back to the community and giving work to the community, yeah, I've done that. I don't just sit on a YouTube channel shitting on other people's products. Yeah, I run a YouTube channel, and yeah, I do reviews, and yeah, I have shit on people's products. And you know what? When I've shit on a person's product, they deserved it. Something like the N-Pad is just absolutely terrible. Now you might go, well, Craig's Penguin Live is worse than that, and he's the worst performer in the world, and oh, it was so cringy watching Craig on the Penguin Live because he can't perform, and he says hack jokes all of the time, and it's absolutely terrible. You can say whatever you want to say. The bottom line is I have released multiple routines over the course of the last 2 years. Every single one of them has been a sellout. The Quantum Deck was one of the best-selling tricks of the year. Chop is one of the best-selling tricks that Penguin have ever produced. Everything that I have done has been designed to help the community, and everything I have done has been successful. I started a podcast with Lloyd Barnes. Everybody listens to it. I set up a YouTube channel. Everybody listens to it. It's having a massive impact on magicians. It's encouraging people to go out and perform. I set the Netrix up, and it is massively above and beyond where I thought it was going to be. The Quantum Deck, you say that, people say that I can't create and I just make little adjustments. The Quantum Deck was a massive leap forward. Name one trick that you have created that has appeared on Ellen. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. The Magic Circle. I got a standing ovation at the Magic Circle with the same lecture that's been shit on. I got a rave reviews for my lecture at Blackpool. The same lecture, by the way, that was apparently terrible at Penguin Live. Oh, and when I did the lecture at Penguin Live, every single person loved it. Eric Tate wasn't faking it when he said, oh, that's awesome, that's awesome, that's awesome. But here's the thing. This is the difference. I perform for real people. I perform for real people, and I put myself out there. You know how you don't like my presentation style? The reason you don't like my presentation style is because I have the balls, I have the guts, I have the intestinal fortitude to go out and actually perform, get those videos and put them online. And then I even criticize my own videos to try and help people. What do you do? What have you done? You tell me what you've done. Other than doing no, anybody in the comments in that thing, go show me a video. Go show me a video. You don't like me as a performer? That's fine. At least I'm putting myself out there. And you know what? You don't like me as a creator? Here's the thing. Every single production company wants to work with me. Why am I now getting flown over to Penguin again? Because they want to work with me after working with me the last time. Why are they paying for me to go to Magic Live? Because they just want me on their booth, so I'm associated with Penguin. Why do Vanishing Ink? Why do 1914? Why do Alakazam? Why do Murphys want to work with me? The list goes on and on and on. You can shit on me all you want to. You can say I'm a terrible creator. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. But the bottom line is, I am backing up my shit with actions. I am not just saying I'm going to do this. I'm actually doing it over and again. Let's look at the Orphic wallet. When the Orphic wallet came out, Louis Lavelle and D. Christopher, they wanted somebody to develop routines for that wallet. Who did they call on? Me. Why? Because they knew that I could put routines together. You guys don't even realize half of the stuff that I've put together. There's routines and products that are going out there through Murphy's, through Penguin, and half of the routines have been put together by me because they're paying me to consult on those products, and you guys don't even know it. And that is while I'm running 2 businesses that are massively successful and performing more than almost anybody in the country over here in the UK. Oh, and by the way, I'm also trying to help my kid become one of the top magicians in the world at the age of 9. So shit on me all you want to. Say I'm a terrible performer all you want to. Say that I've got no originality. Say that I can't create my way out of a paper bag. The bottom line is I am out there, putting myself out there, and I am doing it. I am walking the walk and I am talking the talk, as opposed to all the pathetic little comments in videos like that fucking review that just sit there going, oh, Craig's such a terrible magician. I don't like his performance style. Well, show me a video. Show me a video. Show me a video of you performing. Show me a video. Find me a video. You can't do it because you haven't got the balls, because your hands just shake when you try and perform, right? If you think you're so good and I'm so bad, if I'm so bad and you're so good, why don't you show me how it's done? Why don't you put up and shut up? Why don't you show me how it's done? Don't just tell me you're funny, make me laugh. Do you understand what I'm saying? For any single person that wants to criticize me, I am no longer going to listen to you unless you show me how it's done. You tell me I'm such a bad performer, show me. You tell me I'm such a bad creator, go create a trick that's as best-selling as the Quantum Deck and then come back to me. Go and release a product like Forecast, which is a really niche product on the Memrise deck. What happened? It's the 10th right now. It got released on the 9th. It's sold out worldwide. I am talking the talk and I'm doing my thing. I don't care. I am no longer going to be mopey. I am no longer going to listen to negativity. I'm no longer going to listen to bullshit. I'm going to carry on doing my thing. And you know what? I will be successful at absolutely everything I do. Because, you know why? Because that's what I do. And that's not me having a massive ego, even though, by the way, I have got a massive ego. Yeah, I have. Because if you want to make it in this industry, you've got to have a really big ego. Okay, I've got a big ego. But you know what? I try to back it up every single time. So come back at me. Come on, here's a few things. Tell me I'm fat. That's a good one. Tell me I've got shitty tattoos. Look there. Tattoo of Spider-Man. Tattoo of a balloon dog being webbed by Spider-Man. Come on, I'm sure you can get some shit out of that. Tell me I've got no hair. Tell me my kid is stupid. Tell me my wife is fat. I've heard them all before. What else do you want to say? Oh, tell them I've got bad teeth. That's a good one. Tell them that my card in the box routine is shit. Yeah, that's one that comes down quite a lot. Tell them I can't perform. Tell them anything that you want to, because I've heard it all before. And you know what? I choose to now listen to the people that say, oh my God, I'm going out performing now because of you. I'm going out and I'm actually being a performer because of the advice that you've given. I've now got the courage to go out and start performing. My business has exploded because of the advice. And even if I didn't give this advice, even if I didn't run Magic TV, even if I didn't put myself out there, even if I didn't do the podcast with Lloyd, even if I didn't do any of that, I'm still running big businesses. I'm still going out and performing all of the time. I don't care anymore. I don't care, because you know what? You don't pay my bills. You know who pays my bills? My clients, who ring me up and tell me, I've got to have you at my event. You're the best performer I've ever seen. I've got to have you at my event. You are amazing. Those are the people that I choose to listen to. So, you know what? Thanks for the review, buddy. And for all of the people that are leaving comments, whether it be there or it be somewhere else, and post your little links. By all means, post your links and get really angry and post all of the shit that you want to say about me. Do it. Do it. I dare you. I dare you, because there's kids out there. There's kids out there that I've given work to. There's 16, 17-year-old kids that are going out and performing for real people and making a living doing magic because my company is giving them work. There's magicians out there that are struggling for work, that have no work, and I'm giving them work. I am actually making a difference in this community, both in terms of a content creator and both in terms of an agent. I'm giving work to more magicians than any other company that exists. And the content that I'm putting out there is giving people the courage to go out and perform. And every single person that's in the Netrix, especially on the gold level, is absolutely smashing it. So you know what? Thanks for the review. Thanks for the negativity. From now on, bring it on. Email me, Craig@magictv.org. if you've got the guts, pick up the phone and give me a call. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your phone calls. I want to hear your emails. Don't just say it in the comments and where I can't see it, because I'm not going to see it, because I'm busy. I'm busy being paid to go over to Magic Live. I'm busy running around the country doing my thing. I'm absolutely fine, thank you very much. I haven't got time. So you want to be negative, ring me up. Or the ideal solution is put a video up showing me you performing. Not just a little video to camera, not just that little crotch shot. I saw somebody slag me off and I went to watch the one video I could find of them. And it's just a camera pointing at their cock for 10 minutes while they do twisting the aces or so much other such stuff like that. Go out. Get a camera, go and perform for real people. Don't tell me you're funny. Make me laugh. What you got? So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Thank you very much for joining me here on a Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to go and check out the Netrix at www.thenetrix.com, and I will be back later on today. I've got a review show special on packet tricks from Penguin Magic. I'm trying something new, and my sidekick Ryland will be with me. We've also got 6 o'clock live and at 2 o'clock a shorts. Lots happening on Magic TV. I'll catch you soon. Thanks very much for watching.